All right, the first thing that we're gonna talk about with kettlebells is the basic kettlebell swing. If you only had 5 minutes in a time, you can do this one swing exercise to get a tremendous cardiovascular, quick, heart pound and pump, as well as work a lot of the full body and the posterior chain, which is so detrimental in most of our society because of all the sitting, all the driving, all the forward postures on our phones. So a kettlebell swing is a great way to work our hinge pattern and to get some conditioning all at the same time. So to do that, let's first look at the side. When I have my kettlebell here and I'm holding it right here, I am not doing this with my arms, okay? I'm not lifting from the shoulders per se. Now, can we do exercises, of course, like upright rows that's going to specifically work the deltoid? Yes, we can do that. However, for the kettlebell swing, I should be able to hold this literally with one finger, assuming it's not super heavy, and I can go into my hip hinge pattern and notice I'm barely holding on to the kettlebell. All of the motion is really coming from my hips in this hip hinge pattern. So let's talk about how we're going to get into that. Okay, so number one, I'm going to have the kettlebell on the floor. I'm going to have it centered beneath me, and it's going to be out in front because when I reach out, I'm going to first start with like an RDL type tutorial. So we're going to have a semi-wide outside of shoulder width stance. I'm going to have a soft knee bend, and then I'm really just gonna hip hinge, which again, if you've watched my RDL video, especially in the Smith machine, you've seen how we maintain this neutral spine. We're going to hip hinge, which then bends me down because I'm sticking my butt out. Now, what I'm not doing is sticking my butt out this way. Again, go back to my RDL videos, and that way you can see how we use the abs and the glutes to control our pelvis position so that when I hip hinge, this does not move. It is just this right here. Also notice I'm not really bending my knees much more. I'm not squatting down. It's literally just a hip hinge. So from this RDL hamstring glute stretch position, I'm gonna reach out and grab my kettlebell. From here, because it's out in front of me, when I pick it up, it's going to, by gravity, start to come back. If I were already here, I would have to stand up with it and then get it to go. However, we're gonna keep the kettlebell out in front. Again, I'm gonna start with my hip hinge. When I pick this up, it's gonna swing back into me, and there's my first catch. Just the gravity of the kettlebell swinging into me brings it underneath me. Now, from the front, when you see the catch, again, hip hinge, grab, when I pick it up, boom, there it goes. And I'm stopping it here so you can see how my forearms are actually hitting my thighs. So they're gonna come in, I'm gonna catch my forearms with my thighs. Now from here, I'm gonna extend my hips rapidly, which then pushes my forearms slightly, and there is my swing. So once again, from the side, the kettlebell's in front, I hip hinge. I'm gonna do this in slow motion here. So it's gonna come back, I'm gonna catch, but watch, I'm gonna now drive from my feet to the floor, push this way with my hips, again, like my RDL, that pushes the kettlebell and gets some momentum. The faster I snap my hips, the more I can pop it up. But again, I can hold on with literally one finger, and it's all the momentum of the kettlebell combined with the hip hinge. All right, after I get the kettlebell moving in the hip hinge, as it's coming down, it's just a timing issue. As the kettlebell's here, I gotta come down and start my hip hinge again. So I'm back in my start position where my forearms can be caught by my thighs and I have to pop. So it's a catch, pop, catch, pop, catch, pop. If I don't, right, I'm gonna have my timing off. Again, catch, pop, pop. Forearms into the thighs. Notice I'm not pulling, I'm not bending. I should have hardly any tension in the deltoids themselves. Now, will I get some stability? Absolutely, which is a great element of this, because as this is flying away from me, the backs of my shoulders have to work. But as you notice, in the swing, what is the primary muscles we're using? Hamstrings, glutes, back, posterior. Again, if I'm hunching this way because I don't have good lat engagement, right, I'm gonna start to round and it's gonna mess up my timing. If my lats are engaged, my hips are tucked, and I'm just hip hinging, then my whole torso moves like a 2x4 and my arms just naturally swing. That is the basic kettlebell swing. And if you set a timer and do that swing for 5 minutes straight, let me know how you feel afterwards. I guarantee your breathing's gonna be through the roof, your heart rate's gonna be up, your posterior chain's gonna be burning, and that alone, there's very few exercises where if I said you only had 5 minutes to do, and this is why there is no excuse to not do anything. You can have a single kettlebell at your home. You can wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, go out and do a 5-minute kettlebell swing, and you have already done more than the average person does who just sits on their butt, gets up, has a crap breakfast, if no breakfast at all, and then heads off to work. So you will feel a lot more accomplished by that. It serves as a great warm-up. It's a great finisher. So if you've already done a hard workout and you want to have that mental challenge at the end, set the timer for 5 minutes and go after it. That is your kettlebell swing.